over to Team Wesley now then.
Good evening all. I'd love to say this has been a speedy journey, but when I tell the story, you'll see that we've taken our time getting going. I'm pleased to say that Jan is with me and so is Nick, and we're throughout the next sort of few minutes, we'll probably interchange, making a few comments as we go. We registered, I have to slightly embarrassingly admit, over 2 years ago, but I'll put it down to external factors slowing us down, but we didn't really start to get involved with the process in any detail until about June this year. I might add though that within Wesley things were happening, and I don't think any of us really truly appreciated where they fitted into this sort of eco-church picture. As some of you know, we've got a thriving youth at Wesley, and whether it be their holiday club or their Friday sessions, they often focused on climate change and eco issues, putting the rest of us, I have to say, to shame. We've done some building work whereby we have replaced lighting, and we just put LED lights in, but we didn't realise that perhaps we were doing all the right things at the right time. We still have a few more to go, but there's more LED lights than there are others in the building. And we've had many related services, I'm really pleased to say. We've even had the Dr. John Evans come and preach about sort of eco-church on one occasion. Nick's done a service on water harvest, and we've had various other ones as well. And we joined in with the climate service in July. So things had been happening, but none of it had been sort of quantified and looked at. So in June this year, we had the team of 3 of us come together and start to sort of embark on the process. I'm also pleased to say that from the Youth at Wesley team, we're hoping to get a youngster joining us. He's doing his 6th form at the moment, and he's showing some interest in joining the team as well. So that will certainly sort us elderly members of the team well and truly out and keep us on our toes. But it's great if we can get that as well. So we started on the journey by looking at the questionnaire on the site, on the website. And we worked through that, and it was quite enlightening as we went through. We each took a couple of sections and answered the questions. Then we came together, and as you can appreciate, there was some disagreement, but the slightly worrying thing, in some sections, we could answer nearly all of them. And on others, like lifestyle, I have to say, how the heck do we encourage our group of 9 or 10 90-year-olds to get on their bike and cycle to church? So you can see some real sort of challenges as we go through. But we worked on that questionnaire, and it was a really useful process. Firstly, an individual look, as I said, and then we came back. Some of the questions were easy to provide an answer to, some where further information was needed, and we were quite surprised what little we knew about what happens at Wesley. Did we get a good tariff on our electricity? Are the investments ethically used, etc., etc.? What types of electricity and gas do we use? But there were some questions that we didn't stand a hope in answering. So we knew we had plenty of work to go. Please join in, Jan and Nick, when you want to shut me up, because I'll go on for hours. We carried on doing that work through the summer. As I said, we had the climate change service in July, led by Nick, and Jan was heavily involved with the music. But that started to get other people talking about it. And one of the things that's come through to me, and probably the reason we've ended up talking about it here, because I mentioned it in front of John and Andrew at another meeting we all go to, it was a starting of a bit of a cultural change, some engagement with other elements of the church. And that's really good. So we carried on working. We started to put things in our Wesley Weekly magazine. We started to have prayer in there for the environment. We started to have some articles. We started to have some hints for good, and we had some quizzes. Nothing clever, but just thinking about the language we used. And I could think of one word search, and there was some of the language that I had to sort of check up on what does it actually mean. But it's good to start getting people engaged with the process. Jump now forward to the 15th of September, where Nick and I actually sat down and did the online survey. We weren't really sure where we would do. We knew we could answer some of the questions, as I said. Much to our surprise, in terms of worship and teaching, we did remarkably well. So we're getting one part of it right. It doesn't get better as we go through the story before anybody starts thinking, oh, this is only a good news story. Buildings, we were doing okay, and we sort of got around the bronze award. Sorry, I meant to say, in the worship and teaching, we'd actually, for some reason, ticked the number of boxes for a gold. But that's probably, hopefully, been reflected on the others. Buildings, we were on a bronze. Land, we are very blessed at Wesley with nice gardens back and front of the building, and a lot of effort goes in there. The youngsters get involved with that, and I'll tell about another project in a minute. Community and global engagement, a bronze. I'm afraid it all came a real cropper, though, when it came to lifestyle, because we really struggled to answer some of those questions. And you'll be not surprised at all to realise there was no award in sight at that stage as we went through. And again, it was good. We started to think what we've got to do. How can we start to address as a church some of those challenges? Because although the award's nice to get, we're looking at a culture and a lifestyle change within the church family. And that's really what we're after. And as I said, we started then immediately to have these regular slots in Wesley Weekly. We continue to target certain areas and find out information. And we found out that the money we invest is ethically looked after by TMCP, so they tell me anyway, and Central Finance Board. We also, as a church, though, made a commitment. And Nick, do you want to talk through your starring role at Winchester Cathedral? You need to unmute.
I noticed Joe's here, Joe Crocker from Winchester, and Joe knew a lot more about the cathedral service than I did, but we were invited to take part, and it was good. There was a good crowd of people in Winchester Cathedral, and it was a service which was honouring the environment, and each church was invited to carry a banner which said what they were planning to do or what they have done. And I was pleased to take part in that. So that was good.
Just to sort of elaborate on that, the three pledges that we made, and Joe will probably be checking up on this later, but the three pledges we made: we will improve our garden space and benefit the native wildlife. And this is the big one, I think. We will encourage and educate our church members to have personal, environmental, sustainable lifestyles. And then finally, we aim to achieve a Rocher Award, hopefully by December. I put the hopefully in because I thought by December was probably pushing our luck, but that's where we are. But what was great, that's in the front, that's in the church now. People can't escape that we have committed to that. And again, it's this cultural lifestyle change that we're trying to engender. Youngsters do it all the time. Youth at Wesley get nagged something rotten by the youngsters, or we should be doing this, that, and the other. So we're learning from them. Right, where are I? Lost my notes. Right, last Friday, you will be pleased to know we revisited the questionnaire, and through a little bit of jiggery-pokery and a few more honest answers, we managed to lift the Lifestyle Award up to the bronze level, and Nick was eagerly poised to press the submit button. And that's really where we are. But we're also very aware there's a heck of a lot more to do. And what I love about this scheme, I don't think you'll ever end up being at the end. It's a sort of a journey. And just to give you a feel for where we feel that we've got to do a lot of work now, we feel we need some sort of policy document, Wesley's eco policy, to really look at what direction the church wants to go. We've done these things and we've achieved certain ticks in the box, but there's been no strategy. They've been good ideas at the time and we've done them, but there's no thought behind the structure of the journey we're going on. Certainly start to address some of the nil responses that we've still got in our questionnaire. We need to prepare some sort of action plan for the next 12 months. So we start to plan what we're doing. And that's involving all the groups in the church. And one of the things, for example, that's an ongoing debate, and there's a big meeting next week, is how can we use the gardens in a different way, but also involve elements of the church in that project. And we've already had one provisional meeting with all the user groups, the guides, the youth at Wesley, Brownies, and we're going to try in the new year to develop a project that will involve them in the garden. The youth at Wesley put together a bug hotel for the St. Barnabas Christmas tree competition. We don't think we'll do very well on that because there's some very grand trees. But what's lovely is all the youngsters got involved, and that will now come back to the garden and be part of that, so they've owned that. And then finally, the thing that we feel we do need to do is start to put together some sort of portfolio of evidence. We talk a lot, as you've heard me rabbit on for the last 10 minutes, but we need the evidence. Where can we put our finger on what we've done? What services did we do? How did we go about the electrical survey? I mean, Jan did the infamous annual property return a few weeks ago. I'm boasting that ours is done and completed. But if we can get that sort of thing right, filling in some of those questions on that report's a lot easier because we'll have the information in our hands. So there's a knock-on effect there. And that gives you a bit of an idea on the journey we've been going on. Nick, did you want to say something about our shock revelation when we press the submit button?
Could do. Can I just say, this topic has always been for me important. I first came to this area nearly 40 years ago now, and I was aware that when, as a local preacher, I tried to raise issues about the environment in my service, my worship, I got blank looks. I got people who were not engaging with the issue, which I thought was so important. They said, well, this isn't really what Christians do. The Christians don't really have much to say about this. And so I've been on that battle for a long time. When I went to press the button for finishing the survey, what I hadn't realized, and I couldn't find anywhere later in the small print, is that there is a cost. Now, I suppose the charity has to survive, but when I pressed the button, we were told that if we wanted to order a Bronze Award plaque, it would cost £85. And we were also asked for a donation of £125. And the only thing I said was, well, we can't authorize this at the moment. I'll have to take it to my leadership team and just check it out. But I did feel it came at the end, and I would rather have known beforehand what the cost was going to be, and I suppose that the £125 is a suggested donation, but it doesn't actually make that absolutely clear. Anyway, I'm sure we'll go forward with it, but I just alert you to that fact. You'll realize from what Paul's been saying that one of the elements of the survey is that it is designed to move you on. It isn't just about ticking off what you've done, it's how you move forward. Just as in practical terms, if and when you are doing the survey and there is a checkbox at the end of the line that says "need to find out," if you leave any "needs to find out" in, you can't finish the survey. In other words, "need to find out" means that's something that you've got to go and do before you can draw a line under the survey. And anyway, we've, as Paul said, we've now got a route ahead. We now know some specific areas that we can work on. I'm fairly confident that we could perhaps move forward towards the Silver Award. I don't know about going beyond that, but I suppose it's a journey, and we may well get there. Thank you.
So thanks, Paul and Nick.